Here we are with one of my podcasts. We're going to talk about narcissism. It's been an ongoing subject. I got to talk about it. Here we go. Narcissists share 5 toxic money habits, according to a psychologist, because they often go unnoticed or ignored. So let's get into the story here. Narcissists are said to be the most challenging personalities to be around. Now, even that, traits go often unnoticed or are ignored, particularly from people who don't know about narcissism or have other vulnerabilities such as low self-esteem, according to this story from CNBC. As a psychologist, who's talking about this is Dr. Ramani Durvasula, a contributor to CNBC, who's a psychiatrist, or psychologist, excuse me. She found out that narcissism is a maladaptive personality type that can impact the mental health and functioning of those who come in contact with it, especially when money is involved. Narcissists seek power over others to feel better about themselves, and money is a tool they use to manipulate and control. So besides the fact what they do when it comes to, when I talk about where guys with girls, they are narcissistic. There's a power and control about that. Well, money can also be included in that. So keep that in mind. Here are 5 things they say that are toxic money habits among narcissists. Number 1, they are secretive about their finances. So they can be vague about their money situation, like how much they make or have saved. Well, look, if you're going to be dating somebody, there are most guys, like for myself, I wouldn't talk about how much I make or how much I've saved. I don't think you do that anyway. That's something, if you're going to go down to marriage and you're going to go into a relationship, you're going to be living together, then that's something I think you need to go and ask at that point, but not beforehand. That's something you got to just think about, where if you're just in a dating phase, that's not something you think about right away, just to think about like that. Now, in this story, she says, if you don't feel confident about money matters, letting a partner handle it can be an appealing offer, but can lead to serious repercussions. That's because you need to go ahead and be separate in your funds. So if you're going to live together, you need to have like a separate or like a joint account, and money gets thrown into it. Don't rely on somebody else, because then that's where the money and the power grab is going to come into play. Number 2, they're only generous with money in public. So spending large amounts of money on others can be a way to get people to like them. Well, if you're dating a possible narcissist, the red flag, you ladies out there, if you have a guy that is spending on lavish dinners and gifts for you, you better know that you're going to be asked, or you're going to be expected to do something in return as a favor to it. And it's not going to be you paying them back, and it's not going to be you spending money on them. So keep in mind what that's going to be down the line. So she talked about how the experience can be both isolating and frustrating for the person closest to the narcissist, because the outside world's perception isn't the reality. So what to do, she says, is you might find the best solution is to set strict emotional boundaries, or exit a relationship altogether if they're unwilling to change. But remember, there are some women out there that are minded on wanting to have somebody lavish them with gifts. If they like the idea of having a sugar daddy, if that sugar daddy is lavishing with the gifts, and you don't realize that what's going to happen down the line is they're going to be caught up in knowing, okay, there's expectations behind this. But some of them don't realize that, or they don't care until they have to worry about it until the point. Number 3, they skip on the essentials. So narcissists can be grandiose when it comes to self-serving, unnecessary spending. So buying a designer watch they can't afford. But on the essentials like food, health expenses, basic household items, they're cheap about. So those in an intimate relationship with them may have to quietly save money to take care of themselves. The behavior pattern is also prevalent in business. Think of a founder or CEO who barely pays their staff, but uses company funds to fly first class and book luxury hotels. So even as your C-level executives having the same thing, even in your corporate job, you could have this. They mentioned that given the self-serving mindset, it's difficult for narcissists to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. If it's impacting your ability to put food on the table or effectively run a business, have an honest conversation. Well, by this point, you just need to go. I'm sorry, you can't wait for some conversation to happen. Then take a step back and reflect on whether the relationship is worth holding on to. Number 4, hypocrisy. Narcissism and hypocrisy go hand in hand, because hypocrisy is a form of entitlement. A narcissistic partner may spend freely on themselves and regularly blow your joint budget. So yeah, it's self-destructing. But that's also a narcissist when they decide to be self-destructive and say, you know what? Let's see if my partner is going to stick around if I act a certain way, a certain behavior. If it's acceptable behavior, then they know they can stay. But if they know it's not, they might tweak it so it's not so noticeable, right? So they talk about, imagine a colleague who constantly takes her direct reports to fancy dinners, but criticizes you for eating out occasionally for lunch. What to do is, calling a narcissist out is rarely productive. They will turn to focus on you. Right. Guilt trip going back to. Keep records of inequitable or keep a report? What is this, corporate? Come on. Remember, you're entitled to your part of the budget. A narcissist's sense of financial fairness is usually out of sync with what's actually right. So the idea is, if you have to go this point here, drop number 4. You shouldn't be with somebody that you have to worry about what they're doing with your money. And when you're putting it together as a collective, come on now. Number 5, they are punitive with money. Narcissists often use money as a tool for punishment, rewarding you financially when you do what they want, withholding when they feel vindictive. It can be unsafe, degrading, confusing. Yeah, you feel like a prostitute if you're doing with a guy that's putting money in front of you like that. What she says here is, she says, be prepared for the dynamic, have some fun set aside for basic expenses. How about an exit strategy? How about an exit strategy, huh? Knowing it is likely that will happen will help you come up with a strategy for managing or exiting the situation. Dr. Durvasula, she's a psychologist, professor of psychology at California State University of Los Angeles. Look, she means well. And oh, by the way, she got also the book, Don't You Know Who I Am? How to Stay Sane in the Year of Narcissism, Entitlement, and Incivility, or Should I Stay or Should I Go? Surviving a Relationship with a Narcissist. Okay, I appreciate what she's saying, but that's also where she's trying to talk about, you want to give the benefit of the doubt to that partner. I wouldn't do that. I would get out much sooner. I'm just telling you, a little tip from your Uncle King of Podcasts. Thanks for listening in to Women Not Podcasting. What am I podcasting? And I'll talk to you next time.